I never imagined that a random click on an obscure social forum would change my life forever. It started innocuously enough, a discussion about interstellar civilizations, theories of wormhole travel, and a rather peculiar thread titled Communicating Beyond the Milky Way. Naturally, I was intrigued. My life had been a quiet, monotonous loop, coding freelance software by day, streaming shows by night, with weekends lost to grocery runs and the occasional park walk. Excitement was rare, and anything remotely extraordinary grabbed my attention like a magnet. That's how I found her. Her username was Zira. Her profile picture, which seemed almost too vivid for a human, depicted a tall woman with shimmering violet skin and eyes like molten silver. I thought it was an elaborate cosplay at first, but her posts hinted at a perspective far beyond my comprehension. She wrote about star systems I had never heard of, referencing physics that didn't exist on Earth, or at least not yet. Intrigued, I messaged her. The first few exchanges were cautious, cryptic. She asked me questions about Earth, its fears, ambitions, flaws, and in return, she shared glimpses of her home planet, Eloria. Descriptions of crystal cities that reflected the light of two suns, forests that whispered, and seas that glowed with bioluminescent currents filled my evenings. We spoke nightly, hours slipping by unnoticed. I convinced myself she was some ultra-realistic AI experiment, or maybe an incredibly imaginative human with a flair for world-building. But there was something undeniably authentic in her words, a rhythm that couldn't be manufactured. Then came the day she said, "I wish you could see me in person." I laughed it off, assuming it was a playful metaphor. "I don't think our physical worlds line up that neatly, Zira," I typed back. "I can change that," she replied, as if it were the simplest thing in the universe. I didn't respond, though the thought of seeing her or something like her was thrilling and terrifying. A week later, I noticed a soft, humming vibration outside my apartment. It was subtle, like the faint echo of a distant engine. I checked the street. Empty. Only my old Honda sat parked like usual. I shrugged it off and returned to my computer, brushing it off as exhaustion. But that night, around 2 a.m., there was a knock on my door. The knock was deliberate, measured. My apartment was on the ground floor, walls thin, yet no footsteps preceded it. Heart hammering, I peered through the peephole and froze. Standing on my doorstep was Zira. Not a picture, not a projection. She stood there in full, her violet skin glowing faintly under the streetlight, hair like silver waterfalls, eyes that seemed to pierce through my very thoughts. My first instinct was disbelief. My second was panic. "I came," she said, her voice melodic, vibrating almost like music. "I thought it was time you saw the truth." I opened the door, frozen. Her presence wasn't threatening. Not yet, but there was an undeniable force, an aura that pressed against reality itself. Before I could utter a word, the ground trembled. My apartment window rattled. I glanced outside and nearly vomited. Hundreds of ships hovered above the street, suspended in silent flight. Sleek, dark, triangular forms, each no bigger than a bus, yet massive when viewed collectively. From each, figures emerged, tall, armored, alien soldiers, their skin a muted gray, eyes faintly luminescent. They moved with a precision that screamed discipline, and in moments, my entire block was encircled. "You brought them?" I managed to whisper, my voice trembling. Zira smiled softly. "They are mine. You must not run. Not yet." I laughed nervously, backing into the apartment.
Mine?
What do you mean, yours? Why are they here?" "They are my army," she said simply. "I brought them to ensure your safety and compliance." The word compliance made my stomach twist. Compliance? I don't. This is insane. I don't even know what. You know enough, she interrupted, her eyes flashing silver. You've seen things that cannot be unseen. You've interacted with me. Now, the consequences of that choice have arrived. I stumbled back, tripping over my own fear. Questions tumbled through my mind. How could this be real? Was this a dream? Why me? My pulse thundered as I tried to think logically. Logic failed. Zira stepped forward. There's no time for explanations that you might not understand. The universe's rules, and one of them is that some connections cannot remain virtual. They manifest. And now, you must come with me. Come with you? To where? I shouted, my voice breaking. To Loria, she replied, eyes locked onto mine. It is safer if I explain everything there. The army outside stirred, shifting into tighter formation. They didn't attack, but their presence was a wall, a silent threat. My mind raced. I had no way to call for help. Phones were suddenly useless, signals jammed by some unseen field. Even shouting to neighbors seemed futile. The street was unnervingly empty. I had no choice. With shaking hands, I grabbed a backpack, stuffing in essentials. Zira didn't touch me, didn't guide me, yet I followed her instinctively, drawn by a mix of fear and an inexplicable trust. The outside world seemed to bend around her. When we stepped onto the street, the air shimmered like a heat haze, and then we were no longer in my neighborhood. The cityscape of Earth vanished. In its place, a luminous sky stretched above rolling fields of crystalline flora. Ships hovered, no longer menacing, but almost reverent. This, I whispered. This isn't Earth. No, she said softly. And soon, it won't matter which Earth you remember. Here you will understand, and perhaps survive. She led me to a sleek craft, no larger than a bus, yet capable of holding dozens of beings. Inside, consoles shimmered with information I couldn't begin to decipher. She gestured for me to sit. Why me? I asked, my voice cracking. I'm just me. You are not just anything, Zira replied, her hand brushing a console that lit the room in soft blue. When I found her mind online, it resonated with a pattern I have been tracking for centuries. Your thoughts, your fears, your potential, they align with a critical juncture. There are forces in the galaxy that would exploit humans if left unchecked. Your knowledge, your perspective, your choices, they matter. I blinked. You mean, I'm important? She tilted her head, a faint smile playing on her lips.
To them, yes.
To me, indispensable. The explanation barely registered before alarms blared. Red lights pulsed through the craft. Outside, massive warships, different from the soldiers' crafts, approached at impossible speed. Zira's army had anticipated this. She snapped her fingers. The soldiers outside moved, forming a defensive perimeter. Missiles fired from the approaching ships, striking the shimmering barrier around us. Explosions lit the alien night, casting reflections across crystalline leaves and metallic surfaces. Get down, she commanded. I ducked, heart hammering as the hum of weapons and alien energies filled the air. For hours, or maybe minutes, time felt distorted. We were under siege. Yet Zira moved with an ease I couldn't comprehend, issuing commands that bent space itself. Her army retaliated with synchronized precision. The invaders' ships erupted in flames, one after another, until the battlefield was eerily silent. When I finally looked up, Zira was standing beside me, calm as if the attack had been a mere inconvenience. They won't try again, not yet, she said. But this is only the beginning. There are factions in the galaxy that will notice your presence, your connection to me. They may come for you. They may come for me. But together, She paused, eyes glimmering. We have a chance. I wanted to ask questions, thousands of them, but words failed me. My mind reeled from the revelation that my entire understanding of reality was flawed, that the quiet life I had known was an illusion, a prelude to this cosmic storm. Zira extended her hand. Do you trust me? The logical part of my brain screamed no. Every horror movie, every cautionary tale about alien abductions, every sci-fi warning about trusting beings far more powerful than you, every single one of them screamed no. But my instincts, whatever strange evolutionary quirk had led me to click on her profile months ago, told me yes. I placed my hand in hers. Light enveloped us. The stars outside twisted into ribbons of color, and suddenly, I was no longer standing on Earth. We were drifting toward Eloria, the alien planet she had described so vividly in our online conversations. Crystal towers reached toward twin suns, and rivers of bioluminescent currents snaked through lush, impossible forests. Her army lined the landing platform, awaiting orders. This is your new reality, Zira said softly, and your new responsibility. But know this, the universe is vast, terrifying, beautiful, and full of choice. You have survived your first test. The rest depends on you. I exhaled, a mixture of awe, fear, and exhilaration flooding me. My life, as I had known it, was gone. In its place was an existence I could barely imagine, guided by an alien woman I had met online, and protected by an army that now stood as both shield and symbol. And in that moment, as I took in the alien sky and the crystal city shimmering under twin suns, I realized something terrifyingly, wonderfully true. I was no longer just me. I was a player in a galactic story, one whose stakes were higher than anything Earth had ever known. Zira smiled, and in her eyes, I saw not just power, but an invitation.
Come, she said.
The story has only just begun. I nodded. Whatever choice I had made, whatever fate had dragged me here, I would face it, because there was no going back. The stars outside stretched infinitely, and for the first time in my life, I felt utterly, impossibly alive. Zira led me to the edge of the landing platform, her violet skin glowing faintly under the twin suns. Below, Eloria sprawled like a jewel, rivers of glowing liquid weaving through forests that shimmered with an ethereal light, towers of crystal reflecting the sky in dazzling hues. Her army stood silent, their armor catching the sunlight, an unspoken promise of protection and power. This is your new reality, she said, voice soft yet resonant, almost vibrating through me. And your new responsibility. You survived your first test, but the universe will demand more. I swallowed hard, the weight of her words pressing against me. And if I fail? I asked, though I barely knew what failure even meant in this new existence. Her silver eyes softened, but there was no doubt in her tone. Then the consequences will ripple across galaxies. But I do not expect failure. I see potential in you, more than you see in yourself. For the first time, I truly looked at her, not as an alien I'd met online, not as a stranger, but as the guide to a future I could never have imagined. And in that moment, I realized I had no choice but to follow, to embrace this life, terrifying as it was. She extended her hand.
Come.
There is much to learn and even more to protect. I took it. The touch was warm, grounding. The stars above stretched infinitely, and the twin suns cast long, golden shadows across the crystalline city. For the first time in my life, fear and exhilaration mingled perfectly, and I understood something profound. My old life, my quiet, predictable life, was gone forever. As we stepped forward together, the army behind us standing vigilant, I felt a surge of purpose, a strange thrill that coursed through every fiber of my being. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and dangerous, but I was no longer a passive observer. I was part of it now, entwined with forces and beings beyond comprehension. Zira looked at me and smiled, that same enigmatic smile from our first conversation. "The story has only just begun," she whispered. And as I gazed out at Aloria, its glowing forests and crystal towers shimmering under alien suns, I knew she was right. This was only the beginning, and whatever came next, I would face it.
Not as a bystander.
Not as a human lost in the stars, but as something new, something necessary, something alive. The hum of the army, the glow of the city, and the endless night sky filled with possibilities surrounded me. And in that vast, beautiful unknown, I finally understood. There was no turning back. The stars beckoned, the city shimmered, and my journey had begun.